now talk about the trends and what analysis can we make of this 2017 edition of Baselworld. Well, first, and as mentioned in our introduction of the show, there were 200 exhibitors less than the previous year. That's quite a lot, but there are still 1,300 of them participating, and you have to remember that it's not only watchmakers, as Baselworld is also a massive jewelry show, and also for some suppliers of the industry that take part in this almost 10-day long fair. But as this is a rather costly thing to attend and organize, well, you could really hear here and there the comments about the absolute necessity of being present. Okay, it might be costly, but as an exhibitor, if you get a good return out of it in terms of business and buzz generated around you, well, then no problem. But this is precisely not necessarily the case for everyone anymore, or at least this is being questioned by quite a lot of people, so probably a bit of danger for the organizers, and they need to get their copy more in line with the evolving economic climate if they don't want other brands failing to participate for the next editions. So we saw, for instance, many brands having side presence in local hotels, and this could most certainly continue in the future. So this led to have much more a new space, reason why we saw that many more bars and restaurants directly in some alleys of the fair, and we clearly get it that putting all the independence from what was previously called the palace to the atelier was a necessity, not to have too much empty spaces sending the wrong message. Well, actually, this atelier place was pretty nice, not too easy to find at first, but nevertheless pretty nice and cozy, and I think most brands were pretty happy about it. Things have changed, the dynamic has changed for the organizers, and we already heard, for instance, that Hermès will no longer participate at Basel and will instead be joining the SIHH in Geneva next year, and there might be some other moves in that direction that will be announced shortly, and actually there are already a few crazy rumors, but I won't go there, well, not yet at least. Well, let's get back to watches, and the fact that we saw so many examples of watches positioned at more reasonable prices is also a clear indication of adapting times. This is a good thing for the consumer, you get more for your buck, but it's nevertheless the sign of a fragile balance that is ahead for many watch brands, and this could lead to some more shocking news in the months to come. Okay, and I already said this, but this won't have any impact on my appreciation of watchmaking, and I'm pretty sure that in a certain way all this is pretty good for the industry and everybody else, I mean you the consumer. Yeah, but okay, it might be a little bit painful for some. Well, in terms of other trends, let's say that we saw vintage-inspired watches everywhere, as if this was part of the solution for brands. And what does it tell us? Well, I think, and as Mr. Beaver would say, these watches reflect a bit more of this eternity dimension that he often talks about. The link with the past, and therefore this kind of indirect value proposition contained in an object that went through time is there to reassure the customer that he's making a sound purchasing decision when he buys this kind of watch. So we see real vintage watches hold some of their value on the second-hand and auction market, and this signals subconsciously that these watches might better keep their value. Okay, one way of looking at it. But it is also this hipster wave or fashion that went through this, and it helps keeping the hype in some of these objects. And all this is even more important at a moment where the connected watch is for sure an ever-growing reality. TAG Heuer introduced their new connected watch, and many people were playing with it. But additionally, and for the first time, we saw Samsung being directly present during this fair, and their booth was often totally crowded. So all these signs that things are evolving, and I really don't see traditional brands going down that alley, will make any sense. But it really points out that brands have to refocus on what makes them special in their own little territory and stick with it. So growth should no longer be seen as an objective, but sustainability most certainly, and growth might return, but as a consequence. Another identified trend was the massive presence of blue dial watches. I like blue, so that's all fine for me. But this was really noticeable almost with every brand we visited, and it amused me to how sometimes you have these trends that everyone is pursuing at the very same time. And still on a very personal note, I admit that I really fell in love with not a new watch, but a new version of a watch, and this was the Hermès Slim Perpetual Calendar, coming in a platinum case with blue dial, yes, blue, and limited to 100 pieces. So I always wanted a QP, and this one really appealed to me. And I know it's a lot of money, but at 38,000 Swiss francs, I think this is really well-positioned timepiece. But I guess I'll have to wait on this one, just another timepiece on the wish list, and to keep dreaming keeps the inspiration and motivation going. So overall, a good and interesting show. We were naturally happy to participate and produce our videos. We were happy to see so many friends, whether within the brands or with our colleagues. And yes, we could have talked about Baselworld for still quite some time, but now it's time to move on and continue with our regular video reports coming back to you very shortly. But I have to be honest, we might still publish a couple of little Baselworld related videos in the days to come. I have to admit this. And before we finish, just wanted to share quite a crazy story regarding a $1 million mechanical cigar box called Imperiale. This limited edition was presented in the atelier section of Baselworld, and of course we had to have a look at it. This humidor works like a safe. The combination is set with the letters of the brands. You need to press them in a certain order, and then the magic happens with all these mechanical parts going into action. Okay, this humidor has place only for 24 cigars. It's full of high tech and even has a tourbillon watch on it. But at 1 mil, well, I guess we'll also have to pass on this one. So any of you interested for your yacht, well, you know now where to find this. Okay, so thanks for all the great feedback and support we received from you guys. Really makes us incredibly happy. And just for info, the candidacy period for the watchmaking road trip is indeed now closed, and we'll get back to you regarding the next step of this very, very soon. And of course, we have to naturally talk about this new sport competition with the CEO handstand world record attempt that we saw at Fabergé. Enjoy. Today we're introducing a new sport competition here at Baselworld, and to officially celebrate the success of this new chronograph by Fabergé, and we have Jean-Marc Viderecht, the official timekeeper, and we're introducing world record attempt of CEO handstand competition. Off we go with Mr. Sean Gilbertson. So, what about the timing?
15 minutes, 20 seconds, and 100.
And the time down under on my DTZ is 3:30 in the morning.
Well,
11 seconds.
Okay, yeah, I thought, yeah. Well, there we go for a new world record. I guess we're waiting for new people to attempt this in this CEO competition. Thank you very much. Bravo. So all the very best to you. Thanks for your time, and see you real soon.